It's Radio 9 WCME. Good morning. I'm Tom Pagnotti, and this is the Mid-Coast Morning Buzz. It's 9:24, 24 minutes after 9 o'clock. Daniel Stromgren is joining us now, the social worker and Green Independent from Topsom, who made his very first bid for elective office in yesterday's election. You, sir, get the last word this morning, the morning after. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much.
You're disappointed, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. But I also understand sort of how it played out, and looking back at it, I think that there was polarization in Augusta, and there was a lot of polarization in this election, and the Democrats and Republicans felt the need to vote along party lines, and it was a referendum against Governor LePage as opposed to a vote on ideas. But Eloise was a formidable opponent, and I think she'll make a great senator. So
I think something happened that was very telling with regard to you, and that is that you did not door-to-door campaign in Richmond, and yet you had very impressive numbers in Richmond. It had to do with the debate, and I think that when people heard your substance, they voted for you.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of messages this morning, voters apologizing, saying that basically the exact same thing. That had they voted ideas and principles, I would have had their vote, but they were just too worried that they were empowering one of the other larger parties by casting that vote, and they felt the need to support the Democrats or Republicans as opposed to voting on the ideas that were presented.
Wait a minute. Help me on that. I'm not sure I follow that. You say they were worried about empowering one or two of the larger parties. Then why would they want to vote for one of those larger party candidates?
Well, the Democrats were voting Democrat and the Republicans were voting Republican. And
you're saying they were worried about you as a spoiler.
Yeah, which is something I had tried to avoid that label all along. But in the end, that ballot box psychology is just very hard to overcome. Especially when we really only had a week to campaign without asking for money.
We talked a little bit last night about any number of things that relate to this race. You had some pretty strong feelings about the money spent in this race, not only directly on behalf of the candidates, but the independent expenditures, which are just through the roof in this thing.
Yeah, this election, from what I understand, had the largest per day outside special interest spending in Maine State history. So, the super PACs and the special interests saw the importance of the Democrats holding the seat. Of course, the Republicans wanted to take the seat to improve their numbers in the Senate, and that's sort of the voters followed suit.
What should we do about all this big money floating not only around politics in general, but in some relatively small local races like this one?
I think it's a challenge because it gets into the First Amendment, and it goes back to the Citizens United decision that the Supreme Court made recently. People have a right to voice their opinion, but I think that if we have clean elections, then there just needs to be more regulation around how that outside money comes in, and I would have liked to have seen more effort on the part of the other candidates to honor the values of clean elections and refute some of that money, or ask some of those donors to allow the clean election process to take place the way it was intended when the voters passed the referendum.
I'm just wondering if you support the constitutional amendment that's been floating around and has been approved by any number of municipalities in Maine and elsewhere. It's been approved by the Brunswick Town Council and the Bath City Council to more or less overturn the Supreme Court's Citizens United decision.
Yeah, I mean, I would support that. I think this is a perfect example of outside interests coming in and really and buying a victory for Senator Vitelli. That's not to take anything away from her. She had very little control over that. But at the same time, it's definitely an issue that we have to address. To say that we're clean election candidates, I'm the only one who spent the $18,100 that we were allotted. And there was close to $200,000 in outside money spent on my opponents on their behalf.
So Dan, obviously this is a disappointment, but what are you going to do politically, if anything, in the future? What's your game plan from here on in?
My first goal is to use the name recognition and the momentum to continue to build the Green Party. I think we have a good base here in Saginaw County now. I'd like to see municipal committees in each of the 11 towns, and then moving forward, I will consider in 2014 either running for Senate again or possibly taking on Andrew Mills and Topsom as state representative.
Oh, really? Okay. So you're not done?
No, not by any stretch. I think that the poll numbers show that I built a base, and the messages that I'm getting this morning indicate that base is actually even larger than the poll numbers show. So the support's out there. I just think it was a special situation, a special circumstance, and a special election.
One other thing, you said to me something last night that I was not aware of. You said that you'd had a recent conversation with Seth Berry, the retiring majority leader of the House of Representatives. He's from Bowdoin, a Democrat. He asked you if you might not be interested in running as a Democrat at some point. Would you give any thought to that?
Yeah, he did. Actually, both campaigns, or both parties at various points, asked if I would consider running either as a Democrat or a Republican in the future. Whether that was political gamesmanship, trying to get me to make a statement that they could use against me in the race, or whether that was genuinely that I resonated, or my message resonated with both parties, I'm not sure. But I'm proud to be a Green Independent, and will be running in the future as a Green Independent.
Just strikes me as interesting. I mean, getting attention, it always seems to be a special challenge for independents, and you get attention, it seems, from the places where you would last expect it and maybe least want it, the two major parties. Yeah,
I look at it as, in some ways, as a compliment. It means that my message came across in a way that resonated across party lines, and I ran on a unity platform, and ultimately unity is 50+1, and I think that I achieved that.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate you coming in here this morning, and I invited you here for a reason, because I really thought it was somehow cosmically appropriate that you would have the last word on this election on the morning after, at least on this program. As you know, I not only attended, but I took part in moderating the debate in Topsom the other night, in which you were involved, along with Eloise Batelli, Paula Benoit. And I just think, any objective analysis of that debate could yield only one result, that you were the most prepared, and largely because of that, you won the debate. You were the most effective performer, and frankly, I'm sorry that more people didn't see it.
Well, I think people saw it. I think, again, what it really came down to was a referendum on Governor LePage, and the voters, they spoke, and in our democracy we have to honor that, and so I fully support Senator Vitelli as she moves forward, and I wish her the best of luck.
You're saying, I read that last remark to mean that if Governor LePage were perhaps a little more moderate and a little less inclined to say rather dramatic and controversial things, that maybe Paula Benoit would have won this election. Is that what you're saying?
I think that it would have tightened it up. I don't want to say one person would have won or the other, and I don't want to take anything away from Eloise, but certainly I think if we were in a different political climate with a different governor, that you would have seen a much closer and a much tighter race.
Okay. Well, Dan Stromgren from Topsom, Green Independent candidate in the Senate race that ended last evening. Thanks so much for coming in. Good luck, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, and thank you to all the voters in District 19.
Okay.
Thanks, Daniel. It's 9:33 on the Mid-Coast Morning Buzz. I'm Tom Pagnotti. I got to get out of here. Thank you for making me a part of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning at about 6 o'clock. Take care.